So what I find is that usually the root, like timing problems is a symptom. It's not the actual problem. You know, like there's another problem. It's not really timing problem. That's the problem. That's the symptom. Usually the problem is that you don't have a good technique. You know, so you trip yourself up, or you can't play fast enough, or you try to play, or you're overcompensating, or something like that. So what I do is just work on very basic technical things, and then you have a metronome, and it's good to play with the metronome and just feel what it feels like to play correctly, and by correctly I mean with a good technique, and then that will solve your timing problems. Also, sometimes it can be a lot of different things, I think. Sometimes that's the problem, like somebody is just, they don't have technique, so when they go to play, everything's all kind of messed up, and then they have timing issues. That's one problem that I've noticed. Another case is, it can be that the person is not relaxed or warmed up, and being relaxed is also a result of having good technique and being warmed up, So it's like, it all comes back to physicality, which is why I said in the beginning, like that's one of the main things I focus on with my students, is just how your touch and your tone and your technique, then everything flows from that. Then you can be relaxed, then you can play fluidly, then you can interpret your own ideas, and if you have a good technique, you won't have timing problems. So I find that most of the times it all comes back to how you play, like how you touch the instrument, how your technique is. Your right hand, left hand coordination affects your timing. So if you work on your technical fluidity, you can improve your timing if you have issues with that. And then also the idea of being warmed up, of actually playing for 2 hours by yourself before you go and you do something, before you go and you play in public or with your friends or something, like, every day we wake up and sometimes it's just there, and then other times it's like, and you have to spend the time to get through that and get to a point where you feel warmed up, and sometimes that can take 15 minutes, sometimes that can take an hour, sometimes that can take 2 hours, but it's really important that you understand that there is that buffer zone that you have to go through before you can really be relaxed. And it's something that you have to do alone, and then if you give yourself that time, then you can be relaxed, and if you are relaxed, you're not going to have timing problems. So it's also about that, giving yourself the time to warm up. And then another reason why some people have timing problems is also that they can't handle the intellectual demands of the music, like the chord changes or something like that. If you're in your head trying to figure out what the next chord is and where that is on the neck, then you're going to be constantly hit with with walls in your mental fluidity. You know, if you can't keep up with the chord changes, and you fall behind in your mind, then you start to mess up in your fingers because you don't know what to play when and where. You know, so that also causes like weird timing issues as well, because you don't know what to play and you don't know how to continue your melodies through to the next chord. So it's also a mental thing about knowing the chord changes and becoming intellectually aware of the instrument so that you can be fluid.
I think it's the one point, but the second is, for example, when you are ready to play, so you are warm up, and you feel kind of comfortable with it, your technique is quite okay, but you can, if your technique is so good, maybe not so good, but it's so okay with you, that you can play fast, and you're always too fast in the chords. You know the chords for this, and you're really excited, and then it's always like.
So then it's an issue of being too excited then, right? So yeah, relax. One really great thing to that I can give you as a little tip is to practice looking ahead or thinking ahead in music. You know, if you're playing a song, imagine driving is the perfect metaphor for that. You're driving in a car. Where are you looking when you're driving? You know, are you looking like right in front of the car? Or are you looking like down the street? And we're always looking down the street when we're walking or when we're driving, but a lot of people when they're playing music, they're looking right there. They're looking just right in front of them. The chord that is here. And they're always reacting to the chord that they're in. You know? And you made me think of that by the way you described how a person might be playing, that like there's a chord and the chord and the chord and the chord, you know, always sort of reacting to the chord when it comes, after it's already there, you know, the chord comes, you play something, another chord comes, you play something, you know. That's like walking or driving and only looking right in front of the car. But if you can train yourself to look ahead, and to hear ahead, and to think ahead in music, you can play much more gracefully when something comes, because you know it's going to come and you deal with it. You know, it's like you already know what you're going to do.